All right, moving on. Now we're actually going to multiply two matrices. So this particular problem is asking us to do matrix A times matrix B. And I want to multiply these two together. So the first thing you want to decide is, are you even allowed to do it? I've got all this work set up here. So yes, we will be able to do it, but let's test it anyway. Matrix A is going to be a 2 by 3. Once again, it has 2 rows and 1, 2, 3 columns. And we're going to multiply that to matrix B, which has 3 rows and 2 columns. And if you notice, the numbers in the middle match. So then what we'll do is we'll take the numbers on the outside here, and we know that our answer will be a 2 by 2 matrix. So let's go ahead and step into how we're going to multiply these together. We know that we can, but how are we actually going to do it? And what we're going to do first, I erased it, didn't I? Let's see if I can get that back on the video. There we go. Okay. And I had a little bit of a teaching error that I did there. I had some numbers in here. But anyway, we end up with, just to recap, we end up with a 2 by 3 matrix times a 3 by 2 matrix. The numbers in the middle do match. The numbers on the outside give us a 2 by 2 matrix. That'll be the answer. So if I step over here, I will end up with a 2 by 2 matrix. And rather than writing 2 by 2, maybe I'll even write in an actual matrix here, that I know that there will be 2 rows, 2 columns, which means there'll be a number here, a number here, a number here, and a number here. I'm going to end up with those numbers right there. Let's go ahead and fill in those bad boys. So this first number here that we're going to solve for in the first corner, what we're going to do is we're going to take the first row and we're going to multiply it to the first column. Now, I know that sounds weird. How do you do that, Mr. Studer? And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine, typically in class, I would have an example for you, but I want to imagine that you are going to step underneath here like a strong man, and you're going to pick up. So do like my brother, squatting saves lives. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually lift up this particular, let's see if I can group those together. We're going to get up underneath this, and squatting saves lives, and I didn't want the whole thing, so let me undo that for just a second. I'll get there. I just wanted my guy. Give me my guy. And give me this one right here. Yeah, there we go. All right, that should work. Okay, we're going to get up underneath that. Sorry. Oh, come on. There we go. We're going to go up underneath that, and we're going to pick that number up. See how I took the 0, the 4, and the 9, and I'm picking it up, and I'm going to carry it over here to this matrix. Now that I'm here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dump these numbers in so that your 9 will fall into the next matrix and drop all the way to the bottom. And kind of like Plinko, it's going to go tink, and it's going to hit right at the bottom. You like the sound effect there? And then what's going to happen next is the 4 will drop right on top of it. So that 4 lands on top of it like that, and the 0 will drop and land on top. I'm going to get rid of all that because that looks like a bunch of nonsense, but that was just my explanation on how we're going to multiply this matrix. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm going to pour these in, doop, 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 and they'll all kind of drop right into that matrix there, and they're all going to land. Now imagine it's a 0, 4, and a 9. So I'm going to get rid of that, and we're actually going to write in our 0, our 4, and our 9. As I pick it up and move it over and I drop them in, the 9 hits the bottom first, the 4 hits next, and the 0 is on top. Now that I have those stacked up, what you're going to do is you're going to multiply each of these numbers and then add them together. So I picked up the row, I walked it over, I dropped it off. The 9 hit the bottom, the 4 was on top, the 0 is on top of that. I'm going to multiply these numbers and add them together so that I have 0 times 5 plus 4 times negative 2 plus 9 times 6. This is going to be 0 minus 8, and 9 times 6 is what, 54? So when I put those together, I'm going to end up with the number 46, which is a perfectly legal number. So I multiplied all these numbers. I went the first row times the first column, and then I added them together, and it gave me the number 46. Since that is the first row in the first column, I come over to my matrix, and in the first row, first column, I'm going to put the number 46. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to that 049. I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to walk it over, and I'm going to dump it into the second row so that this 0 is now going to be multiplied to the number 1. The number 4 is going to be multiplied to the number 7, and the number 9 is going to be multiplied to the number 0. So I am once again going to multiply these numbers and then add them together. This time I'm doing the first row times the second column. So my answer will turn up here in the first row, second column, right there. Let's go ahead and do the math on that. We have 0 times 1 plus 4 times 7 plus 9 times 0. Well, 0 times 1 is 0. That happens quick. 4 times 7 is 28, and 9 times 0 is 0. And I'll just add those together. Pretty simple stuff. 0 plus 28 plus 0 gives me the number 28. And that was the first row times the second column. So first row, second column ends up being a 28. You can get rid of all that work. You guys wrote that down. Great. Now, it is a bit of a mechanic, right? There is a little bit going on there that's different from normal math. However, once you get the mechanics down, this is not difficult. It's not hard. It's pretty easy, in fact. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk underneath this one. And this time around, I'm going to grab those two. I'm going to pick them up, right? I'm going to carry it over to the matrix, and I'm going to dump it in so that when I dump it, the number 2 hits the bottom, the number 3 is right on top of that, and the number -3 will be on top of that. Go ahead and get rid of that bad boy there. So that, once again, when I walk over to this one, I grab it, I pick it up, I carry it over to the next matrix. The 2 drops down to the bottom. The 3 is sitting on top of that, and the -3 is on top of that. So now that I have those numbers, I'm going to multiply them and add them together. Go team. -3 times 5 is a -15. 3 times -2 is a -6. And 2 times 6 is a 12. I'm going to take those numbers and add them together. This is going to give me a -21 plus 16 is going to be a -5. Go team. So that was the second row, right? So I put my answer in the second row times the first column. So I put my answer in the first column. Second row, first column, -5. One more time. We're going to take this second row, walk it over, drop it in to the second column this time. I'm going to take these numbers, scoot them over, right? My multiplication sign didn't come with me. But I'm going to do -3 times -1 gives me a -3. I'm going to do 3 times 7, which is a 21. And I'm going to do 2 times 0, which is 0. I add those together. That gives me a +18. And that was the second row times the second column gave me a +18. And my answer is a 2x2 matrix, 46, 28, -5, 18. That's how that one works. I'm going to pause the video there, and we will come back and do 2 more examples, and then I'll give you some work to do on your own, and I'll show you how those are done. And that's the quiz. We're going to do some square fun, but this is the quiz so far. If you've got everything up to this point, you're ready to go. You're going to determine whether or not the matrix is possible, if you can multiply them together or not, and then you're actually going to multiply some matrices, and that's your quiz. All right, guys, see you on the next video.